Welcome back to 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We begin today in Venezuela, which has proposed a significant oil reform for 2026 aimed at decentralizing oil operations by allowing companies to conduct cash sales. The reform seeks to attract foreign investment and increase oil production, which has been declining due to economic sanctions and mismanagement. By granting more autonomy to companies and removing bureaucratic barriers, the government hopes to revitalize its struggling oil dependent economy. From Reuters, quote, the new oil reform initiative marks a pivotal change in Venezuela's energy policy landscape by granting companies the ability to handle cash sales independently. The government aims to remove bureaucratic barriers that have long hampered operational efficiency, a energy analyst said, end quote. Next, we travel across the Atlantic to Uganda, where a prominent opposition figure has been detained by security forces under unclear circumstances, raising significant human rights concerns. His wife has expressed alarm about his deteriorating health and lack of transparency surrounding his detention. This incident reflects a broader pattern of political crackdowns in Uganda, highlighting ongoing tensions between the government and opposition figures. And from Reuters, quote, his health is in a precarious state, and without proper medical attention, I fear for his well being. This is not merely a political issue, it is a humanitarian one. My husband's life is at stake, and this situation goes beyond politics to fundamental human rights, end quote. Next, we travel back across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, where a UN backed international security force is set to be deployed in Haiti by the summer of this year, aimed at addressing severe political and humanitarian crises. The mission responds to escalating violence from armed gangs that have destabilized the country. The deployment seeks to restore order, support effective governance, and provide a pathway for Haiti to rebuild its political institutions and civic trust. From Reuters, quote, the UN-backed international security force is set to form a critical bulwark against the increasing political violence besieging Haitian communities, including the capital, Port-au-Prince. Citizens face the constant threat of violence, kidnappings, and extortion, which stymies any efforts towards economic stability and social progress, end quote. Next, we talk about India, where the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Brazilian President Lula da Silva held strategic discussions aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between their nations. The leaders emphasized collaboration in key sectors like trade, investment, technology, and renewable energy, while also committing to mutual support in global forums such as the UN and G20. Their dialogue highlighted a shared vision of addressing global challenges like climate change and preparing for a significant bilateral summit in 2026. From Reuters, quote, both leaders were keen on integrating new avenues of cooperation with a particular emphasis on renewable energies and with both nations viewing not just an economic opportunity, but also a moral imperative given the evolving global climate. Next, we travel across the world to New Zealand, where their annual inflation rate increased to 3.1 in the fourth quarter, surpassing previous expectations and prior quarters, which were around 2.9. The rise was primarily driven by higher prices in construction, household utilities, and the food sector. The ongoing price pressures are creating challenges for the central bank and potentially impacting the cost of living for New Zealanders. From Reuters, quote, the customer price index rose 3.1% in a year from the year to December. The figures add pressure on the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, which has kept the official cash rate unchanged since April 2025, but warned about potential for overheating in the economy, end quote. And finally, we finish today in Europe, where an Austrian ex-intelligence officer has been charged with espionage for allegedly providing sensitive military and political information to Russia over several decades. The trial in Vienna highlights growing concerns about Russian espionage activities in Europe and underscores the need for increased vigilance and counterintelligence strategies among European nations. This case reveals potential vulnerabilities within intelligence communities and the ongoing threat of external intelligence gathering. From Reuters, quote, this is a wake-up call for European intelligence services as it underscores the persistent and growing threat of espionage in our region. European countries must collaborate more closely to develop robust counterintelligence strategies, end quote. And of course, if you want to read any of the articles today, they'll all be linked in the description below the like and subscribe button. Also, down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Podcasts, Podvibe, as well as Apple Podcast. And if you want to go over to the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip, I post links to these episodes on Tuesday and Thursday, and the other podcast on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.